Welcome to the exciting world of recording.
Richard?
Yep.
There are a couple of little bits in that, but were you happy with that?
I didn't notice them.
Cool, okay, that's good. Great.
It's quite
If you didn't notice it because you were ready, that's good.
No, I'm following the score.
Perfect. Yeah, just a few little clowns, but it was okay.
Yeah, but if we wanted a machine, we'd hire one.
You got it.
I love that phrase. I'm going to use that something. Due to the limited time we had doing the Angel of Darkness music with the Edison Abbey Road, the little mistakes or the little errors or the things that you could have fixed become more exaggerated. They become bigger and bigger to the point that you just need to do something about it to fix it.
Ian, if you can play it.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, with the kick. Okay, so both of them together.
I just kind of got to a point where I thought it would be great to go back to the music, revisit it, reimagine it, obviously make it into, fix the issues that were there and at the same time turn it into, something a bit more spectacular, something that reflects on the 20 years since I worked on the music. You'll learn a lot a year or two, so 5 years you learn a heap. In 10, 20 years, things are completely different. I initially put a post out on my music page just to kind of test the waters to see if anybody would be interested, whether it be something that people would invest in. It was the post that was commented and liked the most, on my Facebook profile. So I just thought this is something I need to look into. So
The Dark Angel Symphony idea was born in late December 2015 when I was staying along with Jennifer in Laurie and Jay's house. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I had this thing in my head thinking, Peter should have a concert, really. Like a performance of his music with a live orchestra, and we could record an album. So I sent him a text at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, look, we are doing this and you have no right to say no, we're just doing it, so let's do that.
And Ash was on the phone to Peter while we were having breakfast. And he comes downstairs talking away. We ignore him because he's always on the phone and he's always talking away. And then he hangs up on the phone and turns to everybody and goes, guys, we're doing it.
What?
We're doing a concert. We are?
the first kind of get together, for the people that were going to be involved in this was in January 2017. We met at Grundy's, which is an establishment where we used to eat it often when we were on Ashbourne Road, and it just made sense to be there, a bit nostalgia, introduce people to kind of, the area where it was all done.
We also had Martin Iverson join us for that one meeting, and he's sort of been off in the wings advising Peter and helping, but his role is more to do with the technical side of the music production, not the organising of the project.
So yeah, there was me, Jenny, Ash, was Laurie there?
Yeah, that was with Jay and Laurie, and we had loads of ideas bouncing backwards and forwards, and I was trying to keep track of it all because my job at that meeting was to take the minutes.
The original idea for the Dark Angel Symphony was to have a beautiful orchestra performance in Bridgewater Hall here in Manchester. We contacted Bridgewater Hall, they showed us around, a spectacular venue with a great organ, but we thought it's just, we wouldn't be able to get enough money from the Kickstarter for that, unfortunately. But we did set it as one of our final goals.
Когда я узнала, что я буду графическим дизайнером для этого проекта, я была очень счастлива. Я почувствовала то, что я могу быть полезной, что я могу сделать что-то реально нужное. И я была счастлива, что то, что я умею делать, и то, что мне по-настоящему нравится делать, поможет проекту продвинуться вперед.
The whole team were discussing with possibilities how we should call the project. It was really difficult because the way we've done it was we just took the names that core design used as initial names for Tomb Raider the Angel of Darkness, including the Dark Angel or Next Generation, or one of the variations was quite funny, it was called Lara Croft. Quite nice actually.
The first name that was like as a placeholder was the Symphony of Revelation, and that just seemed to be the perfect placeholder for now. It ended up in the first trailer, but we didn't stay with it, and we knew we weren't going to stay with it.
We put some like top variations into our Facebook group where we would organize the project. Tomb Raider the Dark Angel got the most amount of votes for. We added Symphony to anchor it, so doesn't sound like it's a game or something. So Tomb Raider the Dark Angel Symphony.
Our secret project group was called Project Secret Squirrel.
If you look at some of the artworks that Ina has created for us, one of them is actually a squirrel, a red squirrel holding two dual guns and wearing Lara Croft glasses.
There's a little bit of a story behind that. Okay, so you need to picture the scene. It's a freezing cold, rainy, sleety day in the middle of February in Derby. So it's grey, it's overcast, everybody's bundled up in coats, we're freezing. And we're at Grundy's, there's a lovely roaring fire, we've just wrapped up the meeting, let's all go. And go involved walking across the road to Ashbourne House. As we were walking around the driveway of this place, there's a squirrel on the roof, bouncing along the guttering, you know, as if it's as depressed with the weather as we were. I can't remember if it was Ash or Peter spotted it and said, it's a squirrel, it's a secret squirrel. That makes us all secret squirrels, and that's the group name that we started off with.
The final cover art for Tomb Raider the Dark Angel Symphony was chosen actually in our meeting at Derby. I had 9 concept arts that Ina has created, and I presented them to the team, and I was like, what do you guys think? And everyone was like, yeah, this one is great, this one is not so much, this one is okay. And we all kind of decided, you know what, that one with 2 faces, you don't need to think too much to understand what's going on. There's clear transition from Tomb Raider 4 Lara with broken glasses, and in the middle there is her dying, falling through the crack, which is Tomb Raider 5, and obviously on the other side is Angel of Darkness Lara. And all of these are 3 games that Peter worked on, so I think it illustrates all 3 games pretty perfect. So that's why we chose that particular cover to be our album cover. Some of the decision made on that day was the logo. We chose the logo, finally selected, this is the one we actually want.
Логотип для проекта я создавала достаточно долго, и команда смотрела за этапами работы. У меня было несколько вариантов логотипа. Это было несколько вариантов логотипов с Ларой из Tomb Raider The Angel of Darkness, различные варианты, и тот логотип, который в результате мы одобрили. В проекте я занимаюсь многими вещами. Я создавала дизайны для рекламных объявлений, практически для всех в социальных сетях. Это и Facebook, и Twitter, и на нашем сайте. Вместе с Сашем Каприеловым мы разрабатывали дизайн для сайта. Я также занималась дизайном футболок. Я рисовала серию картинок с персонажами из Tomb Raider The Angel of Darkness, которые потом использовались как для рекламы, так и для футболок, которые вы можете приобрести в магазине.
We got our ideas down, talked about ideas, and then kind of after we left, we kind of all sat, on our little private group on Facebook and kind of chatted about, the potential of doing this and making it a reality. And the obvious choice at that time was Kickstarter funding. Let's see how much we can get from crowdfunding, because if no one wants it, no one's going to back it. So it's a lot easier to do crowdfunding, then do the product, than it is to do the product and then find people to buy it.
I have no idea why they assumed it's going to be a game. So when we revealed it as Tomb Raider the Dark Angel, they all thought it's going to be the continuation of the Angel of Darkness, and it was so painful to explain that no, it's not. Look, we have Peter Connelly involved, you know, there's the hint. It's music related. You definitely should, you know, think about that.
Well, besides the logistics side and the proofreading, I was also drafted in by Ash to do sculpted pledge rewards. I seem to be wearing one right now. I was wearing one at Grundy's, and I've been making these pendants for quite some time as a hobby. And Ash, at that first brainstorming meeting, went, you know what, if we're going to do a Kickstarter campaign, we need to have really special pledge rewards that nobody else is going to have. You know, everybody does t-shirts, everybody does posters, but nobody does handmade jewellery that's themed for the album itself or for the games that relate to the album. So I said, oh, well, I'm kind of hoping to make some of these artefacts myself anyway, because I love doing it, just for the sake of doing it. So yeah, count me in. And that became my other big job, is to design, to make, and to paint these individual pendants. The Lara and Curtis statues were sculpted by Matt, my partner. Ash and Peter were insistent on having, if we're going to have a sculpture as a pledge reward, it needs to be very limited edition and it needs to be handmade. And we need to make sure that people realise that, you know, this hasn't just come out of a factory. This is an artisan piece, and there's only going to be a handful of them available.
Another big challenge that we had was not be able to announce the project on the day we promised that we will have this beautiful countdown coming up with some hints and Easter eggs on the images that some people found, some people didn't. And we were like, every day it would be like 10, 9, 8 coming down. And then on the day when we were supposed to announce it, we had to say, sorry, we will tell you in August.
We all had to take a collective deep breath and go, okay, we can't do anything about this, let's just focus on what we can do. So we went back to everything. We made sure that we triple checked, we quadruple checked everything. The biggest challenge though has definitely been exercising patience. We had so much to do that we could do like that, but having to wait for other people and organisations to get back to us, having to liaise with so many people and wait for them to finish what they were doing first before we could move on to the next phase, that took a lot of patience.
I went to Zagreb for Reboot Infogamer to meet Ina and my other friend Terenate, and we were hanging out and stuff like that, you know, just we went to this expo, it was all fun. So when I came back to the apartment, I received an email notification saying,
Bing! Congratulations, your project has been funded.
Exciting, you know, I went live immediately and I said, oh my god guys, thank you so much on behalf of Peter, you know, blah blah, we got our initial goal. I then went to see Ina, it's like, by the way, we got the cash, you know, we got the money, we can make this happen now. So yeah, we just reached the goal yesterday, as you know, and Ina actually did not know this until today.
I was like on social media for like 2 days, like traveling and stuff, and I was like, oh.
How do you feel?
Amazing, like really.
Yeah, we have 11 more days to fund more money.
You know, like at the moment when I was creating it like I didn't really think that it was like how much was at stake, like, you know, how huge of a project. I was just like having fun, having a blast. It was totally a dream project for me. And then when it was complete and like everybody like in the group was like, oh my god, the cover reveal is tomorrow, like will people like it, will they not, like, oh my god, actually people are gonna see it.
When that Kickstarter timer ran out and we had reached our goal at long last, I think my first feeling was in relief, but that was very quickly, like within 5 seconds, overtaken by the feeling of,
shit, I've got to actually do it now.
oh shit, the real work begins now.
But at the same time, you know, it's a dream come true. You know, all this work and pre-preparation that we put into the project, it finally paid off.
I was crying, literally crying, and having to keep a box of tissues by my computer because I was absolutely in disbelief. But the next day, because obviously the timer finished at midnight, the next day when I woke up, it wasn't it was all a dream. It was right, to business.
When we first reached our goal, the focus was, because of that goal amount, to do all the writing in my own studio using libraries and synthesizers, Okay, I'll be honest, I thought the Kickstarter would raise a lot more money than it did. I'm very happy with the money that I raised, but there was a lot more things I wanted to do to the project to kind of fulfill my original plans of the project. So because we didn't quite achieve the stretch goals that I assumed we probably would, I thought it would be relevant to invest personally into this, sell the car. It just made sense to do that. The car was a luxury that I didn't need. The original 60k target didn't include Richard Niles, and to be honest, without him involved in this project, it probably wouldn't have happened. It was like literally he was the nucleus of the project. If I can't get him on board, it probably wouldn't happen. Richard's experience spans 40 or 50 years. He's very meticulous in what he does. When we discussed the music, he sort of said, if I hear something I can add to it, I'll add to it. If it's perfect as it is, I'll not touch it. He says, I respect the music that you've already written, but if there's gaps I can fill, I will fill. And I just know from knowing his work personally that how he kind of works instruments and how they work together, it's beautiful.
Tina Coyle got involved after I actually went to see her performing here in Manchester, and it was a really spectacular show. She was performing music from games, movies, just great, and she's very lovely as well. I got to meet her. She was just very nice, and Peter actually got me tickets for that concert. He's like, you go have a look and see what you think, because if you like her, we're gonna have her in the project involved.
Hearts will break, angels will awake.
The reasoning behind Tina Guo and Julie Elvin, I've known them through the music industry circle for a couple of years now, and I've heard their work. I know people that have worked with them, and they're just two very super talented musicians. They're very important to the project musically because they're both very accomplished at what they do, and they will do it well. They will do it quick. Dean Coppery, he's an absolutely fantastic musician. I've heard a lot of his work, and I'm a big fan of music that Dean writes, and he's a big fan of the Tomb Raider music.
I received a message a few months ago from Ash asking me, do you want to make sort of medley track for our Tomb Raider Dark Angel Symphony album? I was like, okay, what are we talking about? I mean, I knew about the project, but it was like, why me? And how?
Because the Dark Angel project was, the idea behind that was by the fans, for the fans. It just made sense to get somebody like Dean involved, and we've had discussions about creating at least one piece of music together.
So when I started working on my music track for the album, I wanted to make something a bit more, not fresh in terms of I want to bring something new, but The Tomb Raider Last Revelation, Chronicles and Angel of Darkness, they are really dark games with dark theme going around it. I had the idea of light and dark in my mind. I wanted to sound like adventure-y and like a promise that even after Angel of Darkness, the saga of Tomb Raider will still continue. So after some brainstorming and everything, I came up with the title Beyond the Darkness. I think it suits the track really well.
The project, from my perspective, really needs live players. It will sound great without live players. But from a personal point of view, you know, if I can't get live players involved in this, I'll be kicking myself for a long time.
I'm just giving you apparently the bottom part of God's Part 2, number 3.
Having a live orchestra would mean that they would perform the music in a day, whereas programming the instruments could take a month or two. And you would never quite get as close sound as the live section.
What do you think?
You can't program a string section in a synthesizer that sound like a real live player. There's a big difference. Obviously, the advantages of programming it means if you want to make any last minute changes, you can do. But I mean, with the technology these days, you can edit audio and move it around to get it to exactly how you want to sound it. But yeah, in a nutshell, having the live players, it would be done a lot quicker and it would sound a lot better.
Ready when you are.
Is Bob our uncle?
That's it.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Thank you. I'm gonna go on.
He's said he was an insurance guy because he didn't want his children to have to live from his compositions, which were quite dissonant. Okay, let's move on. Peter had been a fan of my music for many years, and so when I said, I had a lot of ideas of doing real different things, he said, "Oh yeah, go ahead, do it. Yes, I'm asking you to do this because I like what you do. So go ahead and do it." And so then I wrote a bunch of music, and then I sent it to him to listen to, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get fired right away because I've gone too far." And he said, "No, I love it. Keep doing it, even more."
Okay, done.
Oh yeah, we're recording this now. That's what we do. Clive, everything groovy in there? Clive, are you a happy man? Yeah, a bit more click, please. A bit more click for Clive.
Certainly, yeah.
Can you just play a few notes? Oh, good. Yeah, see? That's great. Beautiful. When you are in a situation where you have to write music, as he did, and you have to write it with synthesizers and samples and stuff, obviously you're not going to get the kind of experience or understanding of how to do stuff with real instruments and how there are so many thousands of possibilities with real instruments. So I know all those thousands of possibilities. Therefore, that's how it's benefited it, because there's all kinds of textures, ideas, musical ideas, but also instrumental ideas that you can't know unless you know them, and I've been doing it for 40 years, so I kind of know it. So that's how it's benefited it. It's like having a palette where you've got 4 colors, and then having one with about 4,000 colors. So that's it. It's great working with Peter because he's the nicest guy in the world. Whatever anybody thinks about him, he is just the nicest guy in the world. He's talented, he's dedicated, he's charming, he's generous, and he's not taller than me, which helps a lot, in working together. And he's introducing me to a thing called the chip butti. So when I find out about that, I'll really know everything there is to know about Pete.
God, it's so hot up here.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of those like,
Well, maybe, yeah, it would have been something happened. It definitely had an effect on his being.
I don't understand.
Almost maybe, oh. Have I? Oh, haven't I?
How did you get in the building?
Oh, okay.
Je m'appelle Janice. No smoking in the office. You know there's a photo of her with that in the mouth, but it's like upside down. So the filter's outside.
Was that a mistake? That happens in real life. As an ex-smoker, I can see the amount of times I put it in the wrong way around and lit
I didn't like that just because I needed my hands free.
I guess I could give it a shot. No point taking chances with these guys, though. They may be running a better show than at the Louvre. Wonder who else will show up.
Hello, Eric. Adam Cooper here. You are technically voice double for Curtis on the Angel of Darkness on Embark. I'm sure it can be quite an entertaining experience hearing someone follow a previous role, full on imitation or not.
The recordings, well, we're ahead of schedule. Sorry, I can't talk properly in a minute. Well, we're ahead of schedule. Well, we're ahead of schedule at the moment. We've recorded the first session. And out of the tracks we had prepared for the first session, we got through them within a couple of hours, which gives us a little bit more time to visit any tracks that we had that we're a little bit doubtful about, to be able to, rectify any mistakes in there. So if it continues like this, well, it's just happening so quickly. It's a blessing because we know that what's being performed is being performed correctly. I'm overwhelmed of how good it sounds.
Sorry, hold on. Wait, the chord, you mean the chord that the strings are not playing it?
At bar 49, it goes to 76 BPM. And 4/4. And then there is a ramp at 53.
Good question.
Is that still correct?
And by George, I think you've got it.
And then just mute the purple tracks because that would be
Thank you.
Guys, on behalf of Tomb Raider community, thank you so much. It was an absolutely beautiful day. And we're live now, so say hi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's got a big thing though.
Yeah, got a lot of work to do.
I think he's going to leave the world by
So here we are at Angel Studios. I had a lovely day with Richard Niles playing music for Tomb Raider, and we had a lot of fun, as always, with Richard, and a very enjoyable day.
To work with my old colleague Richard Niles, and he always writes such imaginative music and such wonderful harmonies and challenging parts for everybody. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an amazing day, some great stuff from Richard, and always difficult but always a pleasure to do, and always has a point. Fantastic stuff. Great Richard.
Working on a project as complex and as big as this has been quite stressful. You know, I'm not going to lie. I come up with a condition a few months back, not long after I came back from LA, called Bell's palsy. It was quite alarming because you just don't know what the problem is until you get diagnosed. But it sounds worse than what it is. But it's basically a paralysis of one side of the face. So if I'm looking like I'm talking a little bit odd, or I'm winking at you, I'm blinking. You know, you've got to laugh. But yeah, I mean, this can be caused by stress, you know. But I'm not saying the project's stressful. You know, yes, but it's kind of it's overshadowed by the excitement and the joy, and the prospect of working with the people we work with. You know, it's I'm passionate about it. I'm not passionate, I'm stressed about it. It's like a moment, actually. But exciting. Keep the drama going. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Wow. It's like a mini record. A doll's house record. Shall I open it? Wow. Some familiar faces in here. Iconic. Wow. Oh my god. Wow, this is surreal. That's Revelation. This is the first CD I've ever had that hasn't had a typical copy golden bottom. It's all properly done. Wow. This is superb, this. Chronicles. Angel of Darkness. And last but not least, wow, such beautiful artwork. Who would have thought this day would come? Wow, amazing. Should we have a quick read of the booklet? Brother spelled wrong. Joking. Got to say, this is just absolutely surreal. Saying it for real, you know, all these years in the making, planning, preparing, recording. Fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm over the moon. Couldn't be any happier. It's a really really well designed, really well, you know, they just feel solid, you know, something that wouldn't. I typically smash jewel case boxes every time I buy one, so, you know, these would be perfect for me. And this one is mine.
I'm surrounded by
Thank you.